Lord, we thank God for blessing us to assemble for another meeting. We've still been working on some things the last series of weeks concerning getting the these particular scriptures we're talking about, getting the restored names of getting the Lord's correct name, get the Son's correct name, and everything. Been working on that for the last series segments we've been working on. As we had said before in our last meeting, you can get these scriptures now. They're available. The Sefer Bible is available. You get that at www.sefer.net. And this is really gives a restoration of the names of the prophets, all the disciples, apostles, and things, as far as getting correct names, the correct name of the Lord, the way it was originally intended. And like I said, we always say it's a little bit later than most people think. Prophecies is unfolding, but like I said, if your eyes haven't come open, you're still not going to see it. What's going on in the world as far as the events are lining up. We're still working on some things. Thing is, the way the Lord's got this thing written up, there's no way it will remain a parable to anyone, unless the Lord open understanding, just like He did with the disciples. I believe it's Luke 24, where after He rose again, He had to open their understanding to the scriptures concerning His sufferings and everything. So, and that's the same thing now. So you have to rely on the Spirit. And the name for that, like I said, the Lord blessed us to get the books. We got the restoration of the names and everything. Like I said, history have showed us that the empires have really done a lot of damage as far as removing the Lord's name from the truth, the scriptures and things, and coming up with their own version, which we already been talking about that for the last so many weeks or so. And this is what's going on. Like I said, people's over here especially, they're having too much fun and not worried about, but the things are lining up, prophecies are lining up. Once that move was made, and it's not so much that who's in office over here, that's really not, it's the timetable that the Lord have got lined up. It don't matter. It just happened to be on President Trump's watch that the events were made concerning Jerusalem and declaring it to be the capital of Jerusalem. So, of Israel. So it wasn't so much just because it was Trump, it's just the way, it's just the time, the season that we in concerning what's going on. So we gotta pay attention, especially believers. We gotta pay attention to what's going on. So this is lining up with prophecy, because if you pay attention, the surrounding countries around Israel and everything, pretty much everything is centered around what's going on with Israel as far as the Middle East. So this country, a lot of people will debate, but this country is prophesied as well. But like I say, we have to rely on the Lord by His Spirit to open our understanding on what the scriptures are saying. You got people speculating about what country is Babel, and you got people saying that it's talking about Rome and all this stuff, and you can't take scriptures literally. One passage in Revelation is talking about when it said about the woman that was sitting on the scarlet colored beast in Revelation 17. So some are trying to liken that to the Catholic Church, but if you really line this stuff up with what the prophets had to say about Babel, and line that up with Revelation, what the scripture says, line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little and there a little, the scriptures will explain themselves. So we really don't have to speculate. So, but the thing is, like I said, you're going to get everybody that's throwing in their interpretation into the arena. So this is what we're dealing with. So we're going to work on some things today because it's necessary for people to be reminded of what's going on. Because over here, as the days go over here, people are just more and more really at ease over here. They're not worried about the things that are coming because things look, okay over here as far as being at peace and everything. So people just assume that it's going to continue to be that way.
Right.
See, a lot of times, the storm is coming just because it looks sunny and everything. And people just assume it's always going to be like that.
Right.
And if really, to be honest with you, if something really national emergency ever happens over here, this place will be seriously devastated. And there are weaponry, and believe it or not, people, just because you don't hear the main media talking about certain things does not mean things are being developed, and a lot of stuff is not going to be put out.
True.
For the public anyway to prevent civil unrest and everything else, riots and stuff like that.
Yep.
So that's what I say, you gotta rely on the Lord to unfold some of these things and to keep us aware of what's going on. So, but like you said, you got Israel is surrounded by all Islamic territory. It's over in the Middle East, so we got to pay attention to that because this goes along with Ezekiel 38 when he was talking about that the Lord is going to plead with all the nations and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, where the final battle is going to take place, and basically you already see things are forming up. Okay, the Islamic states, what they call it, over there, everything surrounding it, has already been plotting that they're going to take Israel down. So people are not paying attention. This country is a prime target. And we're not going to stop hastening to say that because anytime this country, the handwriting, you can see it plainly because this country here is backing up pretty much an ally to Israel. So it ought to tell you, put two and two together. Okay, if this country is backing up Israel, that means this country is a prime target.
Amen.
See, because it's going to boil down to religious wars, and it's always been that way from the beginning. So now you're dealing with the Islamic things and stuff, and that's basically the way they look at things is it was a jihad from the beginning. And, you got different sects of that particular movement, but if you study the history behind when that religion got started, it started out barbaric in nature because they were going around declaring jihad on everybody that was not, servants of Allah and all this in this history. So they were really putting people to death, by spreading their religion, but they were putting people to death, and that's the way that thing got started. They were doing jihads all over the place, taking over by, putting people to death. So this is really not going anywhere. So because it seems like it's at rest for a moment, it doesn't mean it's going to stir right on back up. So, and this is what we're dealing with. It's prophecy. See, that's what I say. You got to know what you're looking at. When you're looking at the scriptures, you have no idea what it's talking about. You think it's something in the past. See, Yirmiyahu, which we've already been working on that as far as getting the restored names of the prophets and everything. And we find out these are the Hebrew transliteration. So we say Yirmiyahu, but we always say that it wasn't a J in the Hebrew alphabet. So that's what we're going back to the original. We're not going to go as far as saying what we grew up learning as far as the name of Jesus and everything like that. We're not going to go as far as saying there's some groups out there saying that's the mark of his name is the name of the beast and all. We're not going to go as far as saying that, but we'll just be like this. We'll believe in going and getting the original, going back to the original origin on things. Well, stuff got distorted, and that's history proves that.
Amen.
You like we already said before, you're dealing with fallen world, you're dealing with empires that took over and have made their mark in history. We're already in those days, the days of the week, months, and everything. Everything's been taken out of the Hebrew culture, the way the feast that they kept, even as far as how the calendar was done, as far as the yearly calendar was not like it is set up now. So because the months were determined on the cycles of the moon. So all this stuff, if people just want to look at it for what it is, have been changed over. And this is what we're dealing with, this kind of world. So we believe in God. We're not going to get into somebody's going to the lake because we're going to get into all that, but we're going to get the origin and we're going to get the truth of the matter. We're going to go down and get to the bottom of everything. So
Yes,
the Lord has blessed us. We got the scriptures to back it up.
Yes, sir.
Right? So we're not, I used to be a King James person forever, but through time, the Lord has opened your understanding, and you see that, get to broaden your scope, because stuff has been tampered with, and that's the truth.
Yes, yes.
See? And even in the book of Maccabees, like you said, I've heard a lot of people have heard of those books, Maccabees. Even a lot of people are familiar with that. The Catholics kind of retained those books for the longest time, and a lot of people that are familiar with that, that I've run across, are familiar with the Maccabees and everything, but they haven't ran across a copy of it. So, but people are familiar that there is a book called Maccabees.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have, like I said, Sephora.net, www.sephora.net is, you can get that book for probably around about $90, $95. Has all the books, has Jubilees, and this history proves that, was it Jubilees and Jasher, all these books, the Book of Enoch, which history proves that they really tried to, some of the kings in the past have really tried to get rid of that book. The prophecy that Enoch prophesied about.
Yep.
Very detailed book, and it goes into the origin of a lot of fallen angels and everything. Some of your Catholic priests and things were outraged when they saw these, what Enoch prophesied about, very in-depth. And
Yes.
it tells you what happened in the beginning. The angels came into the daughters of men. You got people that are so-called Christians that don't even believe what's written.
Come on.
That's sad. You gotta believe what the prophet, and Enoch was one of the major prophets, and so much so that he was taken up, he was translated that he didn't see death. So evidently, and he lived, I'm mistaken, it was 300 something years before the Lord took him up, right, from this earth. So, and he had a lot to say, because the Lord had moved on. Matter of fact, he had said in the end part of Enoch, he says, no man will see as he has seen. And that's true to this day. No man has seen what he has seen.
Come on.
So he had in depth about what happened to the angels. He got their names and everything. You got people that are Christians that say they don't believe this. Now, we can't describe, there's a whole lot of stuff you can't explain as far as, even creation. You have no explanation, but you got to believe what the Lord has written down through the prophets.
Come on.
So that's why I say, just because we can't figure out, I can't tell you to this day how in the world can the angelic realm intermingle with the human race. I can't explain that, but it's written down. It's in Kepha, the books of Peter. Jude talks about it. Even Genesis talks about what Enoch had prophesied about. So this true. The mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, every word is established.
Come on.
All right, so you got Christians. That's why I say I'm very sad to hear some Christians don't even believe what's written, just because you might have a certain view, and there's a whole lot of stuff you can't explain concerning, the Lord made a whole lot of stuff you can't explain. You can't go out there and explain how many galaxies it is. I have no idea. There's a whole lot of stuff that you might not have no clear explanation on. I can't explain how angels came down and took upon and made and married daughters of men. I can't explain that, but it's written down. This is what happened. So we believe what's written. Because you can't just omit something out just because you don't believe it. You know, because you can't explain that don't measure up to your intellect. And you can't, by reason, you can't figure out how is this so. We ain't here to do it. We here to, you know, it's what the Lord wrote down through the prophets. So we got to go with it. Yeah, we thank the Lord for restoring the things. And we working on some things in like we were talking before, I think it was last year, we had worked on some things. People have no idea what's getting ready to go down because in this the way the Lord has got this thing written up, you ain't gonna see it anyway. So your eyes got scales, like the scripture said in Revelations. So your eyes got to be anointed with eye salve that you might see. And that's talking about the Spirit having opened your eyes. And people that are still out there sinning and going on, then that's the thing. You're never going to see this. Just like Daniel, the prophet Daniel said, men should go to and fro, knowledge should be increased. But he also said, the wicked should never understand, but the wise will understand.
Come on.
See, the scriptures tell us all through the prophets that he said, the fear of the Lord is to depart from evil.
Come on.
Fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and to depart from evil is to know understanding. See, that's the beginning right there. So if we ain't even got to that point, you're never going to see the rest of it.
Come on.
See, you know, it's just the way it is. So we talked about some things last year. We was talking about how Yirmiyahu, we got the right name now. Got the right name, Yirmiyahu, the Lord's name is in that name of Jeremiah. So he was talking, prophesied about Babel here in the Sefer, and this gives a lot of restored names. The Lord's name is restored in different aspects of his name in the passages of Jeremiah, the 50th and 51st chapter. This it requires explanation because people have no idea. They think it's talking about some Babel back then. This was written during the time of the captivity of the Israelites, the Yahudim, the Jews, Hebrews that were taken captive because of not obeying the Lord and the voice of the Lord. So they were taken captive for 70 years. But during this time, some prophecies came forth by Daniel and Jeremiah, but then these hadn't necessarily been fulfilled, and that's why Daniel had to seek the Lord because he understood through Jeremiah the prophet, Jeremiah the prophet, that 70 years they were going to be in captivity 70 years, but then he also saw that some of these prophecies hadn't been fulfilled as far as what Jeremiah had prophesied about Babel. See, and this is where we got to go to work.
Come on.
See, we start out in the 50th chapter of Yirmiyahu. We have to line this stuff. It's a lot of work. We may not finish all today, but Yirmiyahu goes along with Yeshayahu, which is Isaiah, and going along where the Apostle John had picked up on a lot of prophecies. So it is a lot of work to line this stuff up. Yeah. We're going to we talked about this last year briefly in a couple of segments we have. And this right here, I see, is constantly, we're going to constantly have to keep putting this out because people over here just got this mindset that they're not worried about anything. We're here to give people warning that what they must do to avoid the evils that are coming. See?
Come on.
And they're coming.
Yes.
This stuff is corrupt over here. So here's the prophecy that came out here in Jeremiah, 50th chapter, the book of Sefer, the Sefer Bible. What do you say, verse 1? See, we're going to, right here, he's addressing certain things. What do you say?
The word that Yahweh spoke against Babel, and against the land of the Chaldean by Yirmiyahu the prophet, declared ye among the nations and published and set up a standard, publish, and conceal not. Say, Babel is taken, Baal is confounded, Merodach is broken in pieces. Her idols are confounded. Her images are broken in pieces. For out of the north there comes up a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein. They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast.
All right, so here he starts out this prophecy. This is great work. We're not going to be able to cover, obviously, we're not going to be able to cover all this today, but we want first it starts out. So Daniel had examined the prophecies of Jeremiah, Jeremiah. All right, here is a prophecy. See, in other words, now you look at the nation of Babylon, even in Daniel's day. So here's a prophecy. In other words, Babylon was used to pretty much punish Israel because of their sins and everything. But here's the thing. See, here's how the Lord does that they're going to get theirs as well, because this country is not exempt.
Exactly.
See, and here's where people think it's because one country took another country down. But the thing is, they're going to be dealt with in the time. And this prophecy is telling them right here that Babel is taken. It's going to be all is confounded. See, another name for this land is talking about Merodach is broken in pieces of idols. See, you got to go to work on this, because the idols. See, now you can line this up. Now you go to Revelation, and it lines up when it says the mystery of Babylon. See, and this is the one we are working on, because there was a real actual Babylon.
Amen.
Babel, right? This stuff goes all the way back to Genesis with Nimrod and everything.
Yes.
Right, but the thing, the spirit of that land is still here, see, and that's the one that the Lord is pronouncing judgment through the prophet. See, we're working on this. This is work. See, and even in Daniel's day, he had said that Babylon, the image that Nebuchadnezzar saw, Babylon was the head of it. See, and here's where we got to go work at too, because that's in Daniel, the 2nd chapter, where Nebuchadnezzar had the image of saw an image, a great image. And then, so Daniel, the prophet, the Lord moved on him to give the interpretation. Even though Nebuchadnezzar was the king, but he had no idea what his vision was about. It was from the Lord. So it wasn't just something he made up, or he just came up with his own ideas. He showed the king what was going to come to pass in the latter days. And notice when that particular image, it was struck by a stone cut out, not made with hands. It was cut out, hewn out of the mountain, which represented Yahushua HaMashiach, right? We got the right restored name for that. We're not knocking anybody, speaking against it. If you want to still go with the name Jesus, then that's on you. We're not going to condemn anybody. We're just trying to get the truth of the matter. That's what we're here to do.
Yes,
the name, you see, like we said, we already done said the second, we're not going to take up a whole lot of time with that as well, because we already done talked about that. And if you got really looked at the right translation of the matter, the name of the Savior should have been the same as Joshua, because his name in the Hebrew was Yehoshua, right? And we already had saw that, and that's in Numbers, I think it was the 13th chapter. Verse 16 talks about Moses had his name is Hoshea, and he was renamed Yehoshua. See, and then he was a picture and a type of the Savior that was to come. So it's all through the scriptures, people that want to see it, those that don't want to see it, but it's all through the scriptures. So the Yehoshua, he was an example, just like he led the Israelites to Canaan, just like the Savior came and is leading us to the kingdom of God. So it lines up. His name was Yehoshua, and when you translate that into English is Joshua, right?
Mhm.
So his name would be the same as the Savior's name,
Come on.
which means the Lord of salvation. So when it says Yah, Yahushua, that's talking about Yah is salvation. The same name that the Savior had. So even if you were to put his name into English, it still would have been Joshua. So there's no way you can get. See, this tells you the indication that these empires have had their own agenda. See, and we're not gonna say that the Lord ain't honoring it, but I'm not gonna take a chance on that. We're gonna get to the heart of the matter. We're gonna get to
That's
the
it.
truth of it,
That's it.
and we're gonna leave this world knowing the truth.
Come on.
And I really wouldn't want to gamble, anybody to gamble with their soul and leave this world, and you find out that the Lord is not honoring that. Somebody could be in trouble.
Come on.
So we're gonna go to the heart of the matter.
Amen.
And this, you can't go wrong because that's what the Lord's name was. So, but the thing is, you can see how these empires had their own agenda, and that's the bottom line. All these, which we always say that some of the councils that the Romans had, and they had their own agenda. Constantine supposed to have been the first emperor to be converted over to Christianity, but it wasn't. The truth about it, because they removed all the Hebrew stuff, removed that all aside, and they put their own agenda in there. So, and like you said, if the Lord was a Hebrew, and he came through the nation of Avram, right through that descendant, and David and them, it was all Hebrews. So the Lord is not Greek, so how you can give him a Greek name? So we ain't gonna waste too much time on that. But the bottom line, Jesus is Greek. It was translated from the Latin and Greek translations. All right, so that's a Greek name. All right, that's not Hebrew. Jesus is not Hebrew. And the people that want to debate about that, you can look it up for yourselves. But that's not Hebrew. The name Hebrew we just told you because the name would have been the same as Joshua's name, Yehoshua.
Come on.
That is the name. So this is what we're going to stick with, because you see, the foundation of the truth is not going nowhere. That's what Paul told Timothy. When he said the foundation of the Lord stands sure, this ain't going nowhere.
Come on.
See, they tried to remove the truth. The empires done it. You look at Maccabees, it talks about Antiochus Epiphanes that set up the image in the temple. They took all the sacrifices and stuff away. So he set up the abomination of desolation. It's in the book of Maccabees.
Goodness.
Right. He did, which read history would tell you that it was the image of Zeus that he put in the temple. It was the image of Zeus, the abomination of desolation. And they had burned a lot of the ancient scripts and everything concerning the Hebrews, where you had the Roman Jewish wars during this time, where a lot of, I think it was Titus, the son of Flavius Vespasian, his son Titus went in there 70 AD. They went in there and made war against Jerusalem, and they took a lot of stuff, burned scriptures and everything. All right, this is history, so we're going to stick, once the Lord reveals what's going on, we sticking with the truth.
Come on.
Can't go wrong. So here, the prophecy, it says that her images are broken in pieces. See, you got to line this thing, say, out of the north there comes a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate. See, none, now, looking at this, look at history, this tells you there's more to it than that, because if this was just talking about Nebuchadnezzar's Babylon, his Babylon wasn't laid desolate. See, if you look at history, because he was taken over, his kingdom was taken by the Medes and Persians, but they didn't go in there and level and devastate anything. They just took it over.
Mm-hmm.
See, so this is a greater prophecy. It's telling you that this right here is a greater prophecy than it's not just talking about the literal Babylon, because that didn't take place. That didn't be fulfilled yet, because they just basically subdued King Nebuchadnezzar, right? And Nebuchadnezzar, his son Belshazzar, and all that. were basically just, they were taking over. They took over. Medes and Persians took the kingdom, but it wasn't a thing where they went in there and leveled the land and made it desolate. That didn't happen. They just took over. So this is a prophet, a greater, deeper prophecy. All right, so here you got to take this, and we go to Revelation and start working on some stuff. So here it says, Apostle Yehochanan, what we say, right name on that. And he picked up with basically Jeremiah who had left off, and that's in 17, Revelation, 17th chapter. All right, so here's where people can't make the link or the connection between this Babylon that Yehochanan is testifying about. So here's the mystery one, is what we'll talk about. So you have to line this stuff up. So what he said in 50th chapter of Jeremiah, what he said in 50 that her idols is going to be, everything's going to be laid desolate. Her images are broken in pieces, her idols are confounded. See, you have to line this up with what's going on in the current events. What's going on? This land is full of idols.
Yes, it is.
This country right here,
Yes.
Images.
Yes.
See, people have set up images of different things, people, places, and everything else. This is what's going on in this country. All these idols, the idolatry that's going on in this country. So the prophecy is that her images and her idols will be confounded. That's the prophecy, is what's written. So obviously, that portion is going to be fulfilled. See, so that means Babel is going to be taken down by nations, other nations from the north. See, that's what's going to happen. All right, so here when John comes along, it says, all right, so we go down to, all right, so here he saw a woman, a great harlot. And so we look down here in, all right, we can also start at verse 1 in 17th chapter.
17. Ready? Yep. And there came one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto you the judgment of the great whore that sits upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in Ruach into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication.
All right.
Goodness.
See, so here, notice that, okay, so the beast is not the woman, see. And that's what we got to know here. It said the woman sat upon the scarlet-colored beast.
Come on.
So the woman is not the beast. The woman, in a sense, was carried by the beast. So the beast is not talking about the woman.
Come on.
Right? So, all right, so it's the beast that had 7 heads. You say the woman had 7. The beast had 7 heads and 10 horns. Right? But here's the thing, those 10 horns, if you read down later in those chapters, see, it's telling you the way this thing is set up. See, and if you can line this up, when this country here basically got started, and it was set up by the Jesuit priests, if you do some serious research on how this country got started, and it was set up by the Catholics. Catholic Church set this country up.
Goodness.
Right, and so it was set up that way, and whatever the agenda was when they first initiated was a means to try to bring peace between you had the Muslims and the Crusades were at war and at odds, and all this warring going on, so this was supposed to be like a median country here to try to make a peace between the two.
Yep.
See, that's why I say they're not going to tell you this in the history books. So they're not going to teach this in schools and stuff like that. So you got to really search this stuff out, because this stuff was an abomination from the beginning. And that's how it was set up. And this country's going to be taken down. It's going to be taken down. See? It was used for a certain purpose, and you can see, it's just like the prophecy in Yahoo was saying in 51st chapters, when he talked about, I think it's the 51st chapter, when he talked about how is the hammer of the whole earth become desolation. See, and that right there, you got to line this stuff up, because they were saying the same thing in Revelation. They said, how is that great city, that mighty city? And that's not talking about, they tell you, it's talking about it's talking about a country, not a literal city.
Come on.
See, that's why I say you really got to look close at this thing, let the Lord open your understanding.
Amen.
See, because it's not just talking about some city like New York or Kansas City or Chicago, Los Angeles. That's not what it's talking about. See, because it says a great city, see, and that's talking about a nation, country.
Yes.
But the biggest thing where people were astounded was how can this country or this great city, they call it in Revelation, how can it be taken down? See, that was people were astonished and shaking their heads. Let me see if I can find this. It's in Yirmiyahu, the 51st chapter. And but it was said here that how is the hammer of the whole earth, and might not be able to find it right off. But they were marveling about this country, that how in the world, as mighty as this place was, how can it be taken down?
Exactly.
See, that's what they were marveling. Let me see if I can find this. It's in the 51st chapter of Yirmiyahu, somewhere down in there. So you notice the date is very detailed, a detailed judgment of the breaking down of this Babel. See, very detailed. Look at the 51st chapter in verse 1. Look how detailed it is. What is it?
Absolutely. Thus says Yahweh, behold, I will raise up against Babel, and against them that dwell in the midst of them, that rise up against me, and destroying the wind. And when I send, and will send unto Babel fanners, that shall fan her, and shall empty her land. For in the day of the evil they shall be against her round about. Against him that bends like the archer bend his bow, and against him that lifts himself up in the brigade, and spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly and her hosts. Thus the slain shall fall in the land of Chazadim, and they that are thrust through her streets.
All right. See, it's a very detailed description. See, like John Yehukannen's prophecy concerning the mystery of Babylon, it doesn't go into the details. See, if you got to line this stuff up, notice the word we just was read here in verse 3 when it says, destroy ye utterly all her hosts. That's talking about their armies. See, you got to line this stuff up and be able to come up with the revelation of it. See, but it says right here, against him that bends, let the archer bend his bow, and against him that lifts himself up in his brigandine. See, that's talking your dwelling places, your armies and your military is like, that's like Brigadine is like your Pentagon, the places where the officials are lodging. See, so he lift himself up in his Brigadine. So that's supposed to be a safe haven. Your Brigadine is supposed to be a safe haven in your, back in the days when they had that, that was like almost like a foxhole type of thing. Where, yeah, exactly. See, so this is a detail. We can examine this as a detail breaking down. And it says in verse 7, it's talking about, what did it say in verse 7?
Verse 7. Babel has been the golden cup of Yahweh's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore the nations are mad.
All right, here we go.
Goodness.
See, the wine is talking about your way of life. It can also talk about, all right, that's the same thing as saying like you're trying to spread your way of government. See, it's the same thing. It's the same thing right here when he's saying, see, this time the Lord was using Babel to take down, and do judgment to others. And that's you. If you can't see that, then people just don't want to see it. But see, this country has been used mightily, taken down, you look back to the previous 2 wars, all the little conflicts and everything. This country has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand to do judgment, taking down nations and everything. But this country is pending judgment now.
Right now.
See, and this is what it is. See, people don't want to look at this for what it is. See, so we just read here verse 7, Babel is a golden cup in Yahweh's hand that made all the earth drunken, the nations have drunken. That's what it said in 17th chapter of Revelation.
Yep.
The whole nations have drunken of her wine. See,
Yep.
the nations are mad. See, in other words, you're beside yourself. You're not in your right mind.
Goodness.
See, and that's what happened. So this country has been spreading. You look at the conflict back in 03, or back when I was in the military, probably back in 90, 91, the first Gulf episode, it went down. And they pretty much in 03 overthrew the ancient Babylon, the area there, and pretty much trying to, you're spreading your democracy and your way of life and all this. See, that's what it's talking about the wine. All nations have drunken of her wine. That's talking about your type of government. You're trying to spread your doctrine, your way of life, and they always claim and talking about the free world. Ain't nothing free over here.
Nothing.
See, it's bondage. See, yeah, you got freedom. What they call freedom is doing whatever you want to do. I mean, that's not freedom concerning the law, because it's just all you're doing is spreading sin. You got more liberty to sin is what that is.
Yes, sir.
So here in verse 8, what he say? Notice, see, this prophecy is that's why I say we got to really look at this stuff and examine it, because this is a detailed prophecy of the breaking down of a country. What do they say?
Babel is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her. Take ball of her pain, for her pain. If so, she may be healed. We would have healed Babel, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country. For her judgment reaches unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies.
All right. See, here we're talking about. See, and the Lord through the years and everything have tried to, bring restoration to this country. And it's telling you right here that she wouldn't be healed.
Wouldn't be healed.
See, and it says right here, take balm. See, balm was a type of ointment back in the day when you had ailments and wounds and things like that. They would bring healing. See, and the Lord had tried, and over the years, sent service and things like that to try to bring healing and restoration. But this country is gone. And the people that don't want to see that for what it is, you can see that this country is gone.
Gone.
It's gone, and no return. Don't return. See? And see, this is prophecy. See, people are not looking at this thing. You got to examine the scriptures and then let the Lord show you what's going on in reality.
Come on.
See, that's what happened. Babel is suddenly fallen, destroyed. See, howl for her, take balm for her pain, so be she may be healed. And the case is, she's not going to be healed. This stuff is gone, and it's going to be judgment because it said her judgment. Now it's telling people, get out.
Yep.
Telling them right there, let us go everyone into his own country. For her, see, in other words, you flocking to get over here, you better be figuring out a way to get up out of here because judgment is coming. This is the scriptures.
Amen.
See, well, people can't make the connection like we used to have a game back in the day. Milton Bradley brought out about Connect Four, so you got to connect it.
Yes, sir.
So you playing checkers, you drop the checkers in his little standard thing, you drop the checkers in the slot and make Connect Four. So you got to know how to connect this thing. See, but this is what it's saying. It's telling the people better be making preparation to get up out of here. See, but here's the thing: when in Lord's service, but we don't have to run nowhere because number one, the Lord has already said concerning Yeshayahu tells you, I believe it's 57th chapter of Isaiah, Yeshayahu, and it talks about in Joshua that the Lord will, the people that have been faithful to the Lord will take you out of here before, so you won't see the evil that's to come. See, that's in the scriptures. See, that's why I said we don't have to run anywhere because the Lord already, matter of fact, even concerning me, He already gave me a time frame to get my work done. So the Lord take you on out of here to prevent you from seeing the evil.